I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may.
Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone and you're watching The Daily Question. Today's question of the day comes from the viewer mailbag, and Tyler has sent me the following email. Hello, Mr. Malone. I just wanted to ask how and why liberal politics came to be so involved with entertainment like television and cinema. It seems like Hollywood is a very liberal and leftist place, and I was curious about your view of how that came to be and how it is that pop culture is so politically driven now. Well, here's the thing, Tyler. Thanks first of all for your email. I don't know if I have the answer to that question. When did it become so obsessed with progressive politics? But there's no doubting that Hollywood is definitely one of those sort of bastion places now where progressive politics really do reign supreme, to the point where you hear actors regularly talking about the fact that they sort of will keep their politics quiet if they are not progressive in their politics, because they don't really want to find themselves out of work. So it's clearly an issue when people, because of their politics, if they don't swing the right way, then they are risking their career by just sharing their personal political views. I don't know why or how it became that way. I mean, I think if you look at the whole art scene, the whole artistic community, there has always been the bohemian element within the arts community, those people who have that sort of alternative lifestyle approach to things. That's very much been the shape of things, but now things have changed quite dramatically, whereby the arts community seems very much to swing in that one direction quite strongly, but also now with a power. They wield a power that they've probably never wielded before. There's no doubting that Hollywood is now very much part of the establishment. And there's kind of an irony now in some of the stuff that we see going on as a result of this. So, for example, if you go back to the period of McCarthyism, it was quite common for witch hunts to be conducted involving Hollywood people, with accusations that they were really, Russian agents effectively. They were working for the Russians. The Reds were under the bed, and people were effectively, put on these witch trials, these big witch hunts that they ran looking for communists in Hollywood. Now, the irony of that is that here we are all these years later, and now Hollywood is part of the establishment, and you hear a lot of celebrities doing the same thing with the whole question of Russian collusion. They are now doing the very thing that was done to them. They are happy to facilitate and participate in these sort of public witch hunts looking for Russian agents who are secretly living in our midst and corrupting the country. But how did they get to that point? Well, I don't know. I don't think there is any one particular defining moment or a set of defining moments you can point to where you could say, well, that was the moment that Hollywood all of a sudden did X and then that led to Y. I think it's been a progression that's happened. And as I said, the progressive politics are very much now coupled with power. And so Hollywood is a very powerful, they are part of a powerful elite group within our society. And so you have this, not only does modern sort of leftist politics now tend towards this sort of more totalitarian, authoritarian streak, where they don't really tolerate diversity of ideas and they try and shout other people down, and they will commonly accuse people of bigotry and hatred just because they disagree with their particular politics. But within Hollywood itself, I think you've got four different things that have come together that, regardless of what the politics are, for any community to be experiencing these four things is not necessarily a good thing. So first of all, you've got people who've got money. They've got a lot of wealth. Excessive wealth exists in Hollywood. You have people who have power. They are now part of the establishment. It's not just, it's always been popular to be seen with certain celebrities. Well, I had dinner with Greta Garbo. Oh, well, I had a drink with Clark Gable. But now it's become this whole thing of celebrities quite commonly becoming part of politics. They're actually running political campaigns or invested in political campaigns. The crossover and the blurring of the boundaries between the political leadership arena and the sort of Hollywood and celebrity arena is just, it's almost non-existent, that line now. It's not just about leaders who want to be seen with politicians, but it's about Hollywood types who want to be political leaders, basically, who want to be and are regularly involving themselves in politics. So that boundary has been totally blurred. So there's a lot of power that now sits within the Hollywood community. And then thirdly, you've got time. You're talking about people with a lot of time on their hands. And the reason they've got a lot more time than the rest of us is because the levels of wealth that they enjoy. When you enjoy that level of wealth, you can effectively afford to outsource certain things that the rest of us can't. While the rest of us are out here, the hoi polloi, working our fingers to the bones to try and pay our mortgage and to be good parents, to be good mums and dads, and all those other things that we do. If you've got money, you can sort of outsource a lot of that. Parenting becomes a lot easier when you can pay for nannies or multiple nannies. When you have the ability to sort of live a very insulated sort of life, and a life where effectively you have that privilege to give yourself a lot more leisure time and free time. And then on top of that, and this is where things get really dicey, is you've got a closed community. They live a very isolated kind of lifestyle, and it's very much an echo chamber. So when you've got all of those things coming together, you've got money, you've got power, you've got time, and you're in a closed community, regardless of what the politics are, that doesn't necessarily make for a good outcome. And I think what often happens here is, I don't know what it is, but often it seems that people who enjoy that sort of level of privilege, and especially when they've got time on their hands, it seems for some reason that they want to go to ideological and political extremes. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a sense of guilt about the things that they have in life that other people don't have, that makes them overcompensate for that. And they really want to moralize and I don't know, change the world in big ways. Or maybe it's just a sense of emptiness, the fact that they don't have the things that you and I have that we have to work hard at, like being a parent or having to work your backside off to pay the bills, which is actually, these are kind of sufferings that are really good for us. They really help us to flourish as human persons. But when they're missing in your life because you've got the ability to avoid them because of your wealth, then that emptiness, I'm sure, must drive you on a much more aggressive and I guess harrowing search for meaning. So perhaps there's a tendency to sort of almost spiritualize and deify politics as a way of trying to find that meaning. And so you become more aggressive, you become almost religious in your politics. And I can't help but sense that that's why Hollywood is the way that it is. But effectively, I don't know when was the transition point where it shifted from being this place where, there were progressive politics, as it's sort of very common to progressive politics now becoming the norm. And if you don't express or buy into those progressive politics, or you speak out too loudly against them, then you don't really get too far in Hollywood. There's a very different sort of version of Hollywood. And I don't know if you can point to any one particular moment. I think it's perhaps just been a transition that's happened. As per usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts though, so please let me know what you think in the comments section below. And if you like the content I'm creating and you'd like to see more of it, then please support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. There's a link in the description below and a link on screen at the end of this video. That's right, I can hear my theme music too. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily Question.